like content topics because they allow for you to tap into, the specifics of the product and the specifics of the brand. And then you can look at other aspects too, your storytelling content. You can also look at if your brand does allow for educating, then educate.
G'day, I'm Lockie and welcome to D2C Slingshot, a podcast where we interview brand founders and industry experts to help you out on your own journey, and I hope you enjoyed this episode. So how about you? How long have you been doing social media marketing, would you call it, or short form video editor or reel creator?
So many hats. So basically I started out as a product-based business. So that's how I sort of got into, I suppose, what I do now. And basically, I started as a kids and baby brand. I sold like kids art. And after my daughter was born, that was sort of like the thing, that I was just using just to basically just cure my sanity, really, just to keep me busy. So that's really how I started. And I had a really amazing start in my business. Like, I made really lovely connections with other mums on the platform. Like, the community on Instagram in the kids and baby niche is it's top tier. And as most businesses start out, they say, in order for you to get the content that you need to go to brand rep groups and things like that to get the content. So so basically that's exactly what I did. I skipped every single fundamental stage of growing a business. Didn't look into my content strategy, didn't look into building an audience, didn't really even look into, any fundamental brand strategy or anything like that. Literally just skipped it and went, okay, great. So I need content. That's what I'll do. My first experience with brand reps were incredible. I was like, this is great. I had a lot of support. I learned heaps. So I was like, okay, well, I kind of have, I've got a hang on this now. So went out, did it again. And the second time it was atrocious. Basically, gave hundreds, $1,000s worth of products to creators, took on way more than I did the first time. And the second time I was literally out of pocket, hundreds, thousands of dollars, and had nothing to show for it. So I was like, well, this sucks, first of all. And I really wanted to, I figured, well, look, if I'm struggling with this, there are definitely other businesses out there who are probably selling more expensive products than what I was selling. I was selling a print is not that much money, but, other businesses were giving away, for example, kids' furniture, toys, all sorts of things, and they were all struggling with the same thing. So really that's how this is how my agency started, because a lot of businesses were basically struggling with the same thing. So I approached a couple of creators who I had built really good relationships with. And I said, look, I want to have my products photographed by you. And then I approached some other businesses and said, hey, I'm going to be working with XYZ. Normally her rate is, pretty high if you go and do it by yourself. And then I just said, if you want to come in this with me, it'll only be a low ticket offer. And that's really how my agency was born. So at the moment, that's I run my agency on the side, and I also have my coaching business on the side, which is pretty much it's still in the baby stages. But the agency that's really how it all started, because out of that frustration of businesses being let down by, I call them the freebie hunters, technically. People who are just wanting the free products, not wanting to actually help businesses grow. And that's really how it all started. Just getting other businesses who were frustrated with the same thing, who wanted to have creators. I mean, at this stage too, there was no TikTok, there was no nothing. This was 2017, where reels weren't even a thing yet. So we all just needed really good, high quality content, product photography, even just of products, so we could, post on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So out of that frustration, really, that's how that all started. And we came together and did it as like a collaborative marketing thing. Every time we went, and had our products photographed by a certain creator, we would release it as a group, as a giant marketing campaign. And that's really how I've just learned so much, like, having to learn like the back end of how Instagram works, how the algorithm works and all that stuff, and how to make the most of organic content and how to make it work for you, on a platform like Instagram. And obviously, as Instagram has grown and changed pretty much every week now, that's really how it's evolved over time. So now we've added in more services like obviously video, reels, TikToks, all sorts of stuff, so that brands are able to have that fulfillment of their content met, because Instagram is it's a hungry platform. Like, you need content constantly. So and as a busy business owner, you don't have the time. If you don't have the time to be creating that content yourself, and not only that, the niche that we serve, like the kids and baby niche, there is a specific we stand alone, in my opinion. Like, there's ways that you market to your audience that is not like other niches, because there's a whole lot of other stuff going on in the background with the target buyer. So as a busy business owner, you don't have you may not have the opportunity to create that emotive styled content, or content that is actually going to help you drive the results that you want. Because it's very important to show that in context. So it was really important for me to incorporate the strategy and the actual physical look and feel of what these businesses wanted, and then provide that as a service. So that's really how all that started. It's an amazing membership, because it gives these businesses the consistency of the content. And we do all sorts of other stuff as well for clients who need, obviously, and want more. But the best part about it is that it is affordable, especially for businesses who are just starting out. So that, for me, was like the best thing possible, because for a business who's just starting out on Instagram, has no clue like where to go, what to do, it's so easy to get let down and led astray by these types of people. So it was really important for me to create a space for businesses to know that they could get the content that they needed when they needed it, and it was through a company that could be trusted, because I've been through it too. So basically that's really how it all started. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone has some sort of horror story, whether it's getting back shit UGC, or maybe they've wasted a few $1,000s on boosted posts on Instagram and Facebook, or whether they've dumped their marketing budgets into Google and they just have got shit quality traffic as well. So, I think everyone's been through that, and it's very frustrating. So, if you can sort of find somebody right at the start when you're first starting out, you don't really know too much about business, then I definitely recommend investing in it, even though the price might, even if it's just a few $100, it might seem like heaps, but the headaches that you'll save from spending that money is priceless.
It's worth
it. Yeah, especially when creating content. Like, it's so hard even just to come up with ideas constantly. That's a massive one. And I know I find myself getting bogged down, and just on the idea thing, like, I can't even get started some days because that mental block is there and it won't go away.
Absolutely.
With your brand, are you still running that alongside the agency as well?
Yes. So recently, what I had done is I'd always done it on the current Instagram that I'm at the moment. So again, talking about content ideas just then, like, it is something that can be so overwhelming, and it can really leave you so debilitating when you don't have the clarity. So something that I think really helped me this year especially is I separated my pages, obviously because there was two separate target audiences and I was trying to fill everything in one. done, and it was just too much. And that's exactly what I did. So I have my agency on the side, and the coaching side is pretty much new. It's something that I have loved doing in the last year. I mean, we've always done it on the back end when we do strategy calls, when we do client, reels management and things like that. And we're constantly talking to clients about, what's happening in their business and helping them actually make that organic, that UGC content convert for them in the back end. So for me, I have fallen in love with that side of it. And I've just recently had the courage now to obviously separate my pages and have that on the front end as well. So again, like I think if that struggle of content, if you are struggling with that, I think it's really important, like you just mentioned, it's important to have that content, to have that quality content, but also know why you're posting. If you're not sure what to do with that physical content that you're getting back from a creator, UGC creator, first of all, have a look at the parameters as to why you contacted that person. Because if you're not sure why you're actually getting that person to create that content, you're basically flushing money down the toilet. Like, there's no point getting someone to make you something if you don't actually know how that's going to fit into your strategy, right? It's basically just throwing spaghetti on the wall and hoping that that content is actually going to help you drive the results that you want. So that's why I think it sets our agency apart, is because we actually have a look at the strategy first. We have a look at, like, what are your goals? Like, what are you physically working on? And how can the content that we create for you, whether it's through Reels management or whether it's through, product photography, even just the beginning stages of you building your website, like, what is that content for? And how can we help you get your business where you need to go? So it's important for businesses to understand that, yes, content is important, but if you don't have the pillars of your content and you don't have the physical strategy behind it, it doesn't matter what you do in terms of, like, it doesn't matter how pretty that content is or how cute that baby is. Like, it's not gonna convert. And there's no point getting that content created and then going and putting ad spend behind it, because it's just gonna flop, right? You can boost that post all you want, but it won't actually do what you want it to do. So so it's really important to know, like, what am I actually doing with this content first,
Yeah, and a lot of businesses in this niche, which is the mums and bubs niche, we both love it because parents, or particularly mums, will buy anything for their children, but you do also need them to pull out their wallets as well. So there's a special art to that.
Yes.
Now, a lot of these businesses are started just like yourself, when they've just had a kid and they're trying to fill in some time, or maybe get away from the baby a little bit as well.
Totally.
And that's screaming. But a lot of these businesses are started without any prior knowledge. So to be investing in something to learn that knowledge and gain that knowledge quicker, yes, YouTube University is the best, but also investing and going into that next level and diving deeper into why content actually performs. You spoke a little bit about pillars in content. Are you talking about, like, hook rate and hold rate there, or are you talking about something else? Or do you want to further explain
sure.
pillars?
Well, obviously each business is different, and each kids and baby brand serves a different target audience. So everybody's strategy is going to be different. There is no cookie cutter approach to strategy. If someone tells you that, don't listen to them, because they're lying. Every business is different. Even though we are all in the kids and baby niche, your strategy is still different from the next business next to you. So just know that those pillars itself is all going to be dependent on what exactly, or who the actual target buyer is that you're trying to attract. There's a difference between your target audience and your target buyer, right? So you've got, if you can imagine like a circle, your target audience is the bigger chunk, or like a pie if you want, circle's fine. And your target buyer is like the tiny drop that's in the center. And it's your content's job to basically take the tiny circle that's on the inside and pull that out into its own bucket, if that makes sense. Because we need to be able to have our content attract the right buyer. Because, you know, we're all serving this big, or like putting out content to Instagram, right? And you're trying to target your target audience, which is amazing. That's great. But if you're not actually physically targeting your buyer, then you're always going to just get views. You're always just going to get likes, which is not the conversions that we want. We want the conversions.
Yeah, there's a difference between posting viral content and doing like that meme style, or you see a lot of those Twitter posts like type of reels going around at the moment, or it's just somebody sitting at a computer saying, do these 5 different things.
Yes.
That's more like viral type of content where there's no sort of any call to actions or anything like that in the video, which can then push people to the website and then actually make them convert a bit better than that viral type of content where you can, that's easily shareable and that sort of stuff, but it doesn't necessarily convert all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And so understanding like those fundamental things, like I mentioned before, like I skipped all that fundamental stuff and just thought, oh yes, it's just the content that's gonna bring me in the sales, right? I'm just gonna post a pretty picture and boom, my business is gonna blow up, and my DMs are gonna be ringing off the hook, so to speak, and the content is just gonna do it. Yes, content is part of it, but again, it's the strategy behind it and understanding, you know, who that target buyer is and understanding enough about where your content plays in your overall like holistic strategy, because it's important to know that yes, your content will work, but it will only work as far as you have basically given the direction for your audience to go into. So it's a very important step.
Yeah, and I guess the first step to creating high quality content or content that converts is in the preparation and briefing, especially if UGC creators or brand ambassadors, whatever you want to call them, or influencers. Briefing is super important. And yeah, this is a mistake that I first made when UGC started to trend. I was like, hey, clients, go out, get some UGC done, just contact some random people, give some free gifts out, whatever. And the content we got back, some of it was good. Yeah. A lot of it was trash and we couldn't actually use it. Absolutely. Similar story to yours. So yeah, we had to go through and brief and just prep everything. We try not to go over the top with the briefs, but making sure you're sort of structuring out some different variations or hooks, maybe the hold rate, maybe the scene that you want them to set out and stuff like that. All that comes in the preparation. Like a lot of people don't create reels off the top of their head. And I know I don't. No. I know you probably don't either. Like there's a lot of preparation that goes into your reels. I can just tell just by even just setting up the room in the background. Like that can take forever, and you're just there to shoot a product that's right in front of the camera, but the background behind it, like that's gonna take.
That is so on point. Literally, I could probably even show you to turn my camera around in a bit, and I'll show you. But like that is exactly right. So much work goes into it, and again, like I said, if you are not, it is your job as the business owner to obviously. If you don't know, ask for help, right? Like find someone to help you create that strategy first. Like I cannot stress this enough because there is no point getting that UGC creator to help you with the content if you don't understand how you're actually going to use it. But the briefing process is literally like, that is where the gold lies because the creator doesn't have that information that you have, right? And they can only create that content based on what they know. So, which like exactly like you're talking about the briefing process, we have that inside of our agency where every single month when businesses make a booking, they get to fill out a brief and they tell us specifically what that content is for. Obviously, me, like I have an overarching more information, so obviously I can fill in the blanks because I know the business owners, but that in itself shows me sometimes that like when a business doesn't quite know or can't conceptualize it visually, it makes it hard. which, you know, is something that you learn because it's not your job as a business owner to be a creator, right? It's the creator's job to take the idea and go, okay, great. So now we're going to go and we're going to structure that idea. We're going to structure that idea. And like you said, like, you know, offer like maybe alternate hooks, right? Or offer like alternate style of showing context, or depending on like, you know, what we're going to use that video for. So it's definitely important to know, what are we using that video for? But it's also important to know, like, I think it's also just as important to give kind of a little bit of creative leeway too, because some businesses, like, they can be very structured, and it does hinder the creativity and how we can kind of conceptualize what they're trying to create. But
you're hiring that person because you've seen their TikTok or you've seen their Instagram and you like their vibe.
Yeah.
Let them put their vibe into your brand, and that's going to be much more relatable to the end, like, audience, the target market. And instead of seeing your brand 24/7, it's shown in a different light, which I think is pretty important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I love UGC so much, because it is sort of like, it's like a mix between like a really like laid back, depending on the client obviously, but like it's a mix between like a really laid back thing, but it's very potent. So like it has all like the right ingredients, like for the right sauce. But that's exactly right. And that structure of like, you know, taking that idea is when you know you've found a really good creator. Like, you know, you found a really good creator when somebody, like, you'll know the difference, right? You'll know the difference when you can just give someone an idea, and it could be like a couple of sentences, like, please help me create, like, you know, like a reel for these kids' knives, for example, right? And obviously most people will go, oh, well, you know, it won't cut your fingers, and that will be where they stop. But like a really good creator will know that there's obviously specific content topics that goes in. There's a target audience. There's some, you know, I can actually like tap into like recipes. I can tap into like series for this client. I can also know on the back end of how I can even create content to have them come back to me time and time again. And that's the difference between somebody who's maybe just like creating content just, you know, to make a quick buck, or somebody who's actually trying to create content to make a difference in that business's life, but also obviously help yourself, you know, have that financial, you know, that client coming back to you because your content is doing what you want, you know, it to do, for example. Yeah.
Now, obviously you put a lot of time and effort into these videos. Do you do any paid sort of advertising on the back end of that if a video performs well? Or
for clients?
Yeah, for clients, or do they put extra money to keep growing that video?
Well, I mainly deal with the organic, unless the client states, right? So like the exception is this. So when the client comes to me and they say, okay, like, we want to create, well, it depends, but usually what we do is we start off organic. Always start off organic and build those organic pillars, because just from experience, I found that if your organic strategy, right, is not solid, doesn't matter what you put behind paid ads, it doesn't matter. Like, yes, you may be boosting that post and getting tons of views, which is amazing. And don't get me wrong, there has been times where that singular post, with like a post may have put some, like, you know, some dollars behind it, and it has absolutely blown up that person's business because the content just had that right potency, which is amazing, right? But it's sort of like when you go and you work with an influencer, for example, that influencer's job is to drive you traffic. Same example, you know, is for when you go to put money behind paid ads. You're putting, you're kind of like, you know, you're driving that traffic back to your business. And if you haven't established, like, you know, I kind of think of it like a garden. The organic side of content is kind of like the soil, and the content that you're posting is like the seeds. And if you want to go and then, like, you know, boost a post, or get an influencer to come over, or get someone to or collaborate with another business or do a giveaway or do any of that stuff, you can't expect, people to hang around if your garden's like shit. You want it to be somewhere where people want to hang out. So that's the thing. We creating that paid content is only going to pay off for you if you put in the work before.
Yeah, for sure. And being a paid advertiser, like I only work with brands who have established organic pages, because without that, like you just know you're not going to get the quality content from the client. They're not going to be as involved in the paid ad side of things either. And it's just going to make for a really hard relationship.
Exactly.
And usually like they might not have the website conversion rate set up either, or there's just fundamentals in a brand. Like obviously you've got to start from the ground and then build your way up. So organic, that's one of the biggest things. And yeah, what I sort of look for when I'm prospecting for somebody to come on as a paid ads client is, do they have short form video and do they have high quality imagery? So there's like the first two things I look at. If I go to your Instagram and I don't see quality content there, one, you're not coming on as a paid ads client, because unless you want me to burn your dollars, like I'll burn your dollars, but I don't like looking at shit accounts either. But also, I'm never going to buy from you if your page doesn't look aesthetic either. It's like,
absolutely. Yeah. No,
your organic content is super important, and it does heavily tie into paid ads, I believe. Anyway, what's your opinion?
Yeah, absolutely, I 100% agree. You're doing you would be doing your clients a disservice, like, and that just shows the quality of your work, because you if a client comes to you and just says chuck money behind this thing, you're just flushing money down the toilet.
Yeah, and I hate it. Like I've had, like in the past, I've had clients where they're like, hey, I've got this money I really want to invest, and back then I might have needed the dollar, and I've taken them on board, and the relationship has just been an absolute headache, because I'm going back to them saying, hey, you need to fix this, and this, and this, and this, and this, and this, for me to even be profitable. So, without those foundations, totally. You do burn a lot of money. And I know we've touched on it a few times, but boosting posts, what's your opinion on boosting posts versus paid ads?
Well, yeah, again, don't boost your posts, because that's useless.
Yeah.
Find someone who knows what they're doing. But yeah, I've, clients come and ask me the same thing, like, oh, this is doing really well. Should we chuck some money behind it and just boost it? No, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I was a bit worried asking that question, you being on the organic side. But like I've been guilty of it. A boost post, it's a click of a button, it's right there. It'll get my ego up a bit. I might get 10,000 views on a video. But at the end of the day, they're just views, and they don't necessarily convert into purchases. Yeah. And like I've opened up accounts where they've had really good organic content, but they've been boosting posts for a fair while. And one of the worst cases was like 15K spent for like 1.5K return. And like there's so many of these stories where brand owners, like, to go into the ads manager and stuff like that, it's a fair bit to set up, and people just get overwhelmed. And when that click of the button is right there saying boost posts, what's $10? Like I made 500 today, I made 1,000 today. Yeah. What's $10 to get 1,000 views? But you can go down a slippery slope boosting posts, that's for sure. And I've seen it on the back end.
Yes, exactly. And it's not even just how that converts into paid ads. It's also how it affects your overall experience on Instagram as well. Because Instagram, like, they can, they know that in order, obviously, like when you go and you boost a post, right? I don't want to say the algorithm, but they know that when you're clicking that boost button, it can lead you to get really excited, like you said, about all of the views, about all of the likes. And, again, like when you're going and you're boosting, you're just basically throwing your content out into the Instagram ether, and anybody You know, anybody can see that, which sounds like a good thing, but it's actually not. And that's the difference between just boosting it and throwing it out there. And not every single one of those people who actually goes and views it is very similar to going viral, similar situation where you just get all the views, get all the likes, but there's nobody in that pool of people who see it when you go and throw out that fishing net, for example, into, you know, and none of those people are actually your target buyer. And that's the difference between, you know, maybe like clicking that boost button or getting somebody in the back end to set up your Facebook ads properly for you so it can actually go and then target the correct people, the people who actually need to see it, want to see it, who will actually help. So that's the don't boost your post, basically.
Yeah, I've had a bit of a play around with boosting posts on TikTok a few months ago, and all I got was like these teenagers, these meme accounts and stuff like that. I'm like, they're never gonna buy anything from me. So, yeah, you do get pushed out to the algorithm, and I know the back end and sort of how it works a little bit more. So pretty much the algorithm will categorize you into certain sections. If you like watching video views, you'll be in like a video views audience. If you like clicking through the websites but not checking out anything, you'll be in like a traffic one. That's where I sit. I definitely sit in there because I'll go to a lot of websites but never check out anything. And then there's people who sit at home all day and just press buy buttons. So the algorithm definitely knows, and it knows where to push your content if you give it the right inputs.
Yeah.
Yeah, so obviously content, like you do need a lot of it to feed that algorithm. How do you come up with ideas? Is it sort of all just coming from your head? Is it previous experience? Are you using Chat GPT, or are you just stealing competitor ideas?
So for clients, again, because we're kind of like, I already know the niche. For me, it's just specifically knowing the strategy and then creating the strategy, right? So once I have the strategy, I can then go and look at the individual client. And then I like to focus on specifically for kids and baby brands. Like, we're not the same as service-based businesses. For my own business, like the strategy is completely different, right? Because we're service-based. But for kids and baby brands, it's totally different. You know, we're really looking at like different a way for you to create content, obviously, so you can you know, obviously move your clients through that funnel of like top of funnel, middle, and bottom. But we're also looking at like how can we create that content so that, you know, we are attracting the right people, you know, really emulating that cold audience when we are putting out content. So for me, when it comes to that content, I like to focus on content topics. So whereas most people just look at content pillars, which are great, you know, and when I say content pillars, I just mean like, you know, your average like educational, inspirational, blah, blah, all those ones, right?
Yeah.
The generic ones. So we've got all those. And what most people do is they, for example, they have this book, like a kid's book. And then they go and then they think, okay, well, as a kids and baby brand, everyone's telling me to go and create content, and I need to educate. I need to inspire. I need to, you know, motivate people. I need to entertain people. So then they go and they create this content, but they're just, you know, filtering, I want to sell this kid's book through those 5 pillars. And well, yes, that's great. It's not a strategy. You're just creating content, right? So I like to use content topics specifically. And then what I do is I like to look at like, you know, try and filter it through these 2 things, because again, like as a kids and baby brand, you think, first thing that you think about is, I don't know if I can swear, but the first thing that I always hear is like, how the fuck am I supposed to educate anybody on this stupid, like on this book? Like, parents don't want to know that. They don't want to know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that keeps people stuck, is that they get so hung up on these content pillars that it drives them crazy. So I don't like to look at, I like content pillars because yes, they do help you filter your content through, but at the same time, we want to look at content topics. So these content topics are like SEO, like rich content ideas. So, for example, you're kind of like emulating like, what is my target audience thinking, feeling, and doing? Like, what are the struggles? What are they going through right now? And obviously, depending on the client, but let's use a play-based company as who maybe sells like educational toys as an example. Like, what is going on there right now? Like, what are they thinking, feeling, doing? All that sort of stuff. And then I like to pull out these content topics that will help me kind of tap into what that audience is thinking, so that, for example, when someone's going on TikTok or when they're going on YouTube or when they're, you can't really search on Instagram, but if you could, they would go in there and they would say like, how, educational toys for, like, what's the best educational toy for a 2-year-old or something like that,
Or how to keep my kids entertained on a rainy day or something like that.
Exactly. What like 5 play ideas for a rainy day.
How to stop my kids screaming.
Yes. Headphones. That's what my husband says to me all the time. He's like, just get those noise-cancelling headphones.
Yeah, I always wear them around the house. I don't even have kids.
Well, you'll have some. When you do, then you'll know the trick. There's the trick right there. Just get noise-cancelling headphones. But that's exactly right. So we look at those content topics because not only then is, the content that you're creating is actually going to work for you in the back end. It's also content that you can repurpose. It's content that is going to be valuable to your audience. And it's not about educating, because not every single kids and baby brand can educate. So that's why other aspects to, your storytelling content. You can also look at if your brand does allow for educating, then educate. But don't get so don't try not to overcomplicate it. And I think that's the thing.
Yeah. Even like a lot of brands have grown from behind the scenes content, just like packing orders or ASMR content, just like ripping open a box in the warehouse or something like that. Yeah. And people gobble that stuff up.
Yes, exactly. And I think as a kids and baby brand, you don't have to be so hung up on trying to do all the things and trying to be all the things. What people want to see on Instagram and TikTok is they just want to see like how you're making that product. They want to see what it's like behind the scenes. People are nosy. They want to know. They love getting in on what you're doing. They love being a part of it. And if you can really tap into that in your content and like taking people along the journey, whether that's on your Instagram stories or on your TikToks, try and figure out a way of like how you can really connect. And because if I've seen a theme in content recently, is that people want storytelling. They want that they're really craving it on Instagram because they get it a lot on TikTok.
Yeah, and I think it's especially important for the mums and bubs niche because you're advertising to parents that are probably on maternity leave, sitting at home, and if they're not doing what you did, which is starting a business, they're probably just sitting around watching Netflix or folding the washing or scrolling TikTok or whatever mindlessly. Yeah. So if you can garner that attention while they're trying to occupy themselves, then it is a good way to build your business.
Absolutely, absolutely. And like people are really voyeuristic. Like they love the journey. They love being a part and seeing what you're doing. And even if you don't want to show your face, like you don't have to. Your voice.
It helps.
It helps. It really does. But your voice will do just fine. That's a great starting point. Like just getting voiceovers, all that sort of stuff, is a great place to start. So, totally.
And just like my girlfriend, like when she goes and meets up with with her friends, like they just talk about influencers and stuff. So if you're comfortable being in front of camera, like girls and mums and females and even males, like we talk about our favorite sports stars, like, oh, did you see what Jack Steele did on TikTok the other day or whatever? And like just gobbling up word of mouth, and especially in the mums and bubs niche, It's so important because you'll have your little mothers group and they'll talk, and if they see a product and it benefits them heaps, you betcha the next 5 mums that they talk to are going to have that product as well.
Absolutely. That is so on point. Because literally, like, when we're doing client shoots, like, we've got, when we do call outs, so on point. Like, we've got real mums, like real parents coming in, and they're seeing the products and they're going, wow, like, the products speak for themselves. So that is, like, absolutely true. And, like, so if you can emulate that in your content, it's just to show people, like, what your product actually does. One of my clients, she sells these incredible cubby houses that goes over your dining room table. They are the coolest things since sliced bread, like, the best. And honestly, as a parent, I know that, like, when I put that thing out, like, I can smash out, like, housework, get my stuff done, get whatever I need to do, have a hot coffee, and kids done. Like, and that's the thing, like, your product does speak for itself, and it's just about taking the amazingness of what it is that you sell and do and translating that in a way where you can share that with your audience.
Yeah, and I like that example as well. We've done something similar with a client where we have the product for the first 3 seconds. It might be throwing that blanket or cubby house or whatever it is over the table for the first 3 seconds, but then all you're doing is then showing the benefits for the mum after that, whether it's sitting down and having 5 minutes to yourself, maybe reading a book or whatever. Like, you're not marketing to the child.
Yeah.
You're actually marketing to the mum. So play on her pain points as well.
Yeah.
And you'll see good results. We're definitely seeing that through advertising. There was one that comes to my head. All we had was, that product being shown for the first 3 seconds, and then the mum just sitting down, it's like on the couch, just washing down, having that coffee, and it worked really well.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. Because people, if your content doesn't show, especially in video, like, this is where product businesses get it all wrong. Like, they get so stressed out about video. And video is like your golden ticket, baby. Like, this is where you get to show, like, just how awesome your product is, right? A photo can only show so much. So, like, literally UGC, content creation, like, any video that you have behind the scenes, whatever it is that you're doing, like pressing live on Instagram and just taking your audience through your product and showing them what it does, you will be surprised at the results that you get from that, because like, a picture can only say so much. So definitely, like, if you're somebody who's wanting to, like, shake things up in your business, like wanting to obviously invest your time where it will pay off the most if you're doing it yourself, like, without a doubt, just start getting comfortable with video.
Yeah.
Sure.
Even in my business, like, I know it's not a product, but my business, like, I've been doing this for 4 years now. I probably started short form content like 9 months ago, right? And the benefits I've got from that, like, just people coming on, like, a sales call or a consulting call or whatever, they already know who I am. They've been watching my content in the background, even if they aren't engaging with it. Like, I've never heard of them before. I've never seen their profile, but they've been stalking me on social media. And then, like, you might run into somebody down the street if you have 20, 30, 40K followers in your local area. You might go to the supermarket and someone might come up to you and say, hey, how you going? Like, they feel like they already know you through building that connection and that trust that you do build. It definitely helps in converting them down the line if you maybe release a new product or something like that.
Yeah, totally.
And just taking it a step back a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
I like the strategy, just talking about mums talking to each other. I like introducing, like, a strategy that we've used for one client is just introducing, like, higher ticket products to the business or a bigger bundle, because we do find parents like to try to outdo each other and one up each other and that sort of thing. So, like, you might have a low ticket offer and you might get somebody into the business, but then also try to bundle up products together and make bigger packages, or a more expensive one, because from what I've seen, mums in particular like to try to outdo each other, and especially those Instagram mums that post all the time and that stuff like that. That's a strategy that we've used to increase average order values and stuff.
That is so cool to know. That's awesome. I will pass that along.
Yeah, I'm not some sort of evil marketer, but I do like helping my clients make some extra dollars.
Absolutely.
So
No, that's very, very true. Because I can definitely see that. Yeah, totally. As a mum myself, I can definitely see that.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously there's a lot of content, obviously different platforms that you need to be posting to as well. So you got Instagram, you got TikTok, you got Facebook, you got Pinterest, you got Snapchat, you got Twitter, like all these different social media platforms. Obviously Instagram, TikTok are the big ones at the moment. One of them might be going away sometime soon. Are you very worried about the state of TikTok at the moment? What's your sort of opinion on it?
Oh, goodness. I tell you, it's all over. Look, I have an opinion, but it depends how long you've got.
I've got time.
Look, really, I think TikTok is incredible. I wish that Instagram would take some. I'm sure they are taking notes. But
let's be honest, they're all tracking the same shit. It's just they're trying to kick their competitors up and rising out of business.
I know. Look, I really do wish that Instagram was more like TikTok, and I think a lot of people do as well. But again, like TikTok is incredible, and if it does get banned in the US, all I can say is good for us Australians, because really, a lot of the content that is on TikTok is a lot of Australians. It's a lot of American content, and I haven't seen. I think in the last 6 months, maybe 9, I've seen a lot of businesses starting to migrate over to TikTok. So for a lot of us, it's still brand new over there too. So we're all probably still trying to find our feet. Because I mean, if you started in 2020, that's awesome. Not many people really were migrating over until recently. So it is a lot for a business to try and be everywhere all at once. Like it is a lot. So there obviously are tools to help you with your content, but I guess it depends. What I always tell my coaching clients is the advice that I would give myself. Like, don't try and overextend yourself until you've kind of figured out where your audience is. Like, is your audience actually there? And you can spend this time right now maybe just playing around with it and having fun. And I've seen a couple of my friends, Instagram friends who own businesses, and even just some clients of ours who are just out there having fun and practicing on TikTok, because, they obviously don't want to do it on Instagram, maybe because, they're a little bit afraid still. They've been on Instagram since 2017, and they're still slowly starting to find their feet. But on TikTok, they're having fun. They're out there putting their face on, on their TikToks. They're doing lives. They're doing all of the things, and they're getting comfortable in that uncomfortableness of creating content, which has been the most incredible thing to watch. As a coach and as their friends, cheering them on in the background and going, yes. So it's been awesome, which is why I love TikTok. So TikTok really made me fall in love with content again, because as you know, as a business owner, you get in that rut of creating content. And even with Reels, it was great. Yeah, Reels are good, but it's not the same. It's not the same as TikTok. TikTok, I don't know, it's just a different vibe over there. Yeah,
I love TikTok. It's so addicting. And my feed, I love my feed. It's not very business related, but it engages me so much. It's but the bad side of things, it's destroyed attention spans. It's doing all this sort of spying in the background as well.
Yeah.
And the level of content that you have to make to be successful on TikTok is another level compared to Instagram. like Instagram, I feel like there's a lot of trending stuff, whereas TikTok sort of moved away from that at the moment. It's much more behind the scenes, building like maybe a personal brand for your business pretty much. And it is quite different. I love TikTok personally, but yeah, if it goes away, then you need to sort of diversify as well.
Absolutely.
And I think it's good to have main two platforms, ideally. I believe, in case one does get shut down overnight.
Absolutely.
And
yeah,
you mentioned some apps and stuff to help you out. What are some of your go-to apps that you possibly use on a daily basis or for your clients?
Yeah, absolutely. So in terms of repurposing, I would just do this manually wherever you are posting. So when I'm creating content, and I always advise my own clients, when you're creating content, wherever you're creating it, don't create it within the app. Whatever you're doing, stay away from it. Don't go in there. Record on your camera roll all the time because you own that content. Then you're able to go cut and edit and do whatever you need to do with it wherever you want to put it. And then once you've done that, edit it, maybe using apps like ones that I always use are InShot. Love InShot. It's easy. It's free. I have the paid version, but it's free. You don't need to pay for it. Another really awesome one is CapCut. CapCut is free. I use it like every day. It's amazing. So those are probably my two go-tos, and I like to use Video Leap as well. But always keep your content, just the actual, once you've edited your video, keep it clean. And then take that video and optimize it per the platform that you're putting it to. So I know it's an extra couple of steps. If you have the time, it'll pay off. If you don't, then that's okay. I probably would recommend that you do put the extra time in because you're going to see a better result, but you don't, I wouldn't say you don't have to because I kind of feel like you do. But
that's probably why my social media isn't going as fast as I'd like it to. Because I just sit there, record, like get the clips put together and then just post the same thing to 3 different platforms. And there's no real strategy behind it because I'm so time poor. And I know that's the bad thing to do, but at the end of the day, as long as I'm getting content out there, but I do, like there is some days or weeks that I'll put more effort into it, and you definitely do see the benefits from putting that extra time into it.
Yeah, but I think that also applies to that same thing as like, where are you putting your attention? Is your attention on Instagram? If your attention is on Instagram, create for Instagram first and then repurpose elsewhere, right? Similar situation, if you were going and creating content for YouTube Shorts, well then put the content on YouTube Shorts first and then repurpose elsewhere, or TikTok or Pinterest, right? So in that scenario, then it doesn't matter. But if you're trying to be everywhere all at once, then it's definitely important for you to optimize per platform. But for us mums and busy business owners, we ain't got no time like that. So the tools I love to use is mainly, I would say for businesses, look, if you are doing that and you don't have the extra time, then that's fine. Use an app that we like to use is repurpose.io. So that one, what it does is it basically, you set it all up, link all your accounts, and when you post something, it auto posts for you on all of the other platforms. So it's really helpful without you obviously having to manually post everywhere all at once. So that one's great. So I haven't seen any others that work as well as that one. So yeah, otherwise just uploading them manually is probably the only other way to get around it.
Yeah, I think I might have to switch from later because later's like a bit manual as well, and like you can't post videos over a minute long, and I just find it a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
but I've heard good things about repurposing.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Just for the fact of like, if you don't have the time to sit there and manually upload, I found that it works really well.
Yeah.
And it's quite easy to use once you've got it set up. It's just the setting up that takes the longest time, but so does everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And even with scheduling across different platforms and stuff, like I see Alex Hormozi everywhere on every single platform, and he spends hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. And he says he can't even keep up. So how do you expect us to? So
Exactly. And those guys have got teams, teams of hundreds of people probably. We're, just in our own little canoe. Tugging away. So yeah, absolutely. Do what you have to do, really. Just do what you need to do. There's nothing wrong with it. Because again, it's the similar concept as to posting more than one time a day on Instagram. If you post once a day and you get 500 likes on one post and you get maybe 20 likes on the second, well, you've got 520 likes altogether. You don't need to worry. It's still the same audience. You're not, you may be putting your audience through some fatigue, but my point of the story is that, like, they're all still your likes. They're all still your likes. They're all still a part of your audience. So, even if you are doing that, look, it's all still in your benefit. So, just know you want to grow first. Like if it's Instagram first, put all of your attention there and just repurpose to the rest, because the rest is just gravy, right? It's just gravy on top of the potatoes.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
And just like any social media person ever has said, it's consistency. As long as you have that consistency and a bit of a growth mindset, like you got to get better and better each and every time that you post as well.
Absolutely right. And I think just talking about consistency, like as a mum, as a business owner, like shit gets in the way. Don't beat yourself up. Like right now it's school holidays is a couple of days in WA, and I know that there's so many mums right now in the eastern states who are already on school holidays and they are feeling it, right? This stuff comes up and we beat ourselves up far too often for letting life and work-life balance,
Like, I don't even have kids and life gets in my way, and I have down days as well with my content. I don't even have kids, but I can't imagine what school holidays are like. No wonder my clients ghost me during that period.
It's like, if you can imagine, like, I'm trying to think of like a good reference, but I would call it like a wrestling match. Like, it is just chaos. Like, it is just like there's no sleep. But that's just kids in general. But it is chaos. So just go easy on yourself. Sometimes things are going to fall through the cracks. Let it be. If you are there showing up 95% of the time and you are putting your everything into your business, you're stretching yourself so thin. So it's okay to take a break. It's okay to take a break from social media. It's okay to look after yourself, look after your family. Your audience is in a similar boat. They may not have as much on their plate as you do, if not more. Who knows what's going on in their lives? So we don't need to beat ourselves up over it. But I love the ability to use that to your advantage in content. Be open, be transparent, be authentic, share in that journey, document it. When things get busy, I make the mistake of doing this sometimes. When things get busy, I don't always keep up with my content on the front end. But what I am doing on the back end is I am documenting. I am making sure that whatever is getting in the way, I am recording it. Even if I'm not, putting out content consistently, I'm still getting, inquiries. I'm still doing meetings. I'm still recording. I'm still creating content for clients. So I am making it my business to record everything that I do, even when I may not be posting, because I know that content that I am taking in the time where I am busy and I'm documenting, time-lapsing, doing all of the work that I'm already doing, I'm recording it so that I can use it later on in times where I don't have time to record because
I'm definitely bad at that. I don't record enough B-roll or random little clips throughout the day, and I know I should, but I just don't do it.
Yeah.
Like, my life would be so much easier if I had lots of different B-roll.
Get yourself a second phone.
If I had lots of different B-roll clips that I could just mash together and make some sort of trending clip from it, like, I'd be able to post a lot more content, but I just don't do it.
Get yourself a second phone. That's my hot tip for the day.
Yeah. And then on the flip side of that as well, there's going to be days where your creative juices are flowing, and make sure you capitalize on that as well. Like, there was one day, like, my record is 31 TikToks in a day, just recorded for like an hour and a half straight. Pretty much, like, I could have turned it into a podcast, really. But yeah, there is going to be days where, like, you just get on a roll, and make sure you capitalize on those days, because that will help you on those off days.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, when we were talking about content ideas, just create a master doc, chuck them in there. Like, the ideas always come to me just before I go to fall asleep, and then I'm like, then it's like, okay, great. now you want to do this. So, like, just put those ideas down, put them in a document, because, even if they are maybe not like golden nuggets, they're still going to get you in the flow of, putting those content ideas down. And that's the other thing. No idea is a bad content idea. Like, this used to hold me back so much that I used to have the perfect caption. I used to have like, maybe that's just conditioning of Instagram, but like, everything had to, like, had to have my I's dotted and my T's crossed and all of the jargon. And like, I wouldn't put out content. And like you just said, like, you have to get, I think it was Ed Sheeran. I don't actually, I'll find the quote and I'll send it to you. But it was like, he talks about this one thing where he talks about how, creating music or creating anything as such is kind of like, like, you have to, like, flush all the shit out of the dirty pipe before you can get to the good stuff, right? And that is what content creation is. You have to get through that uncomfortableness of putting yourself out there in the beginning. And I still remember to this day how I used to cringe at myself and go, oh my God, who is this loser? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's even when you go back to watch old videos, it's just like, what the hell?
It is. And that's the thing, like, it feels as uncomfortable as fuck right now. Like, it is not a normal feeling. But once you recognize that it's not a normal feeling and you can move past it, every single time that you practice at it, every single time that you try and do a reel, every time you try and talk in your stories, every time you just have to press post on a picture of you on your feed, is going to make that uncomfortableness comfortable. And if there's, like, one thing to take away from this podcast, it's that, like, just be okay with being uncomfortable, because even if it's not even for the benefit of, like, your business, it's the benefit of you building relationships. And you will not go wrong when you build relationships, and even just that inner worth in yourself. I cannot tell you, like, the confidence that I have gained just from, like, putting myself out on camera. Like, I am the most awkward, socially, like, anxious person in real life, but on camera you wouldn't think that. Like, I am the person in the corner of the party, like, telling my husband, is it time to go home yet? Because I miss my bed.
or when Macca's get your order wrong and you don't want to go up and complain about missing all your nuggets or whatever.
Oh, man. Any confrontation, any awkwardness like that, no, goodbye, not me. I'm out. Yeah, totally. So it's important to know that it will help you in other aspects. But yeah, it's so worth it though. It's so worth it. And yeah, it's not normal. It's not normal to put yourself out there, but man, does it pay off. It pays off so much, so much. Because you find your people, you know, you do. You find your people. People will relate to you, and they'll relate to what you're going through. And people always, when clients come to me, they always say that, but no one wants to know what I'm doing. No one wants to see my messy house. And I'm like, look at...
Even your haters want to stalk you.
Look at how this is in the studio right now. You know, like, people don't care. They don't care about that. They don't care about the typos that you make. You may get one negative Karen who comes along, but who cares about Karen? Like, you know, you will find your people. So don't be afraid. You'll end up being an inspiration for other people. And again, like, for mums who are sitting there 3 o'clock in the night feeding their babies, who are alone, who feel so isolated, you'll be surprised at what you're doing puts a smile on their face and how it allows for them to feel like they are a part of something. So, you know,
I definitely see orders come through my client accounts at that time.
Yeah.
There's always some random spike in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
And I'm like, oh, that poor mom.
But that's the thing, because, you know, you're awake every 4 hours, your emotions are heightened, you're not sleeping, you're probably not eating throughout the day, because when do you even get time to do that? So, and that's what most mums do. They sit there when they're feeding the baby. I mean, I can remember it was brutal, like brutal. I mean, to be honest, I thought I was tired then. I'm probably more tired now. But, I mean, geez, like, you're still getting used to it. So you're just trying to keep your brain occupied. And that is the amazing thing about, like, the power that your content has. Because if you create in the aspects of knowing that what you're creating is bigger than you, like, because there's a reason why you started selling what you sell. Like, I say this to so many of my clients, like, there is a reason why you started selling what you sell, because you didn't just wake up one day and go, oh, I'm going to start selling these kids safe knives, or there's a reason why, you know, like, I started selling a cubby that goes over a dining table. You didn't just wake up one day and go, oh yeah, that'd be nice.
Yeah.
You know, every business has a story behind it, whether it's a personal story or a brand story. It's all.
Yeah, I was just talking to one where they lost tens of thousands of dollars in their first month of operating, and they had to sell their house. And then a few months down the track, they've made nearly 100K. So, that's a pretty extreme example, but.
Yeah.
It just goes to prove that if you do believe in it,
Absolutely,
then it's go to work. And yeah, there is a story behind every business. Like, I would have had no idea if you didn't have a chat or whatever. And yeah, some people, business owners especially, go through some high highs, but some low lows as well.
Exactly. And all of that stuff is content. Like, I know that sounds so, like, cliche, but it is so true. It is so true, though. The amount of times where, like, I've stopped on TikTok and someone has said, like, you know, how, like, our warehouse being flooded allowed us to create this brand new product. And I stopped because I want to know, you know what I mean? And all of that stuff it's gold. It's golden content. But at the catalyst of that, it is because you want to connect. You want to find out what happened. It's, you know, that curiosity in your mind is going, ooh, like, you know, this person's got a cool story. Like, I want to know what they're talking about. So, don't be afraid to use those you know, those bumps in the road. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, nice. I think we'll try to wrap it up there. I feel like I could keep going, but yeah, we've gone over an hour now, so nice. We can do this again in the future possibly. I had a great time chatting to you. Yeah, you're very well spoken, and yeah, for somebody that hasn't done many podcasts before, I think people are going to relate quite a bit. And
thank you.
Yeah, I found it a good one.
Nice. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, there you have it. Unfortunately, this is the end of the episode, but if you're looking for more, be sure to find more episodes on the platform you're viewing on, or head over to Instagram to find tons of valuable clips.